I'm going to start this video with a quite bold statement. One of the main reasons why people can happen to feel stuck in some areas of their lives is because they have a hard time accessing their own anger. I'm going to push it even further. The harder it is for you to access your own anger, the harder it can be to actually transcend adversity. We're going to dissect it even more. But if you're new here, my name is Xavier Dagba, and the whole purpose of this space is to spark conversations that ignite self-liberation. So let's dive into this topic. And first and foremost, I'm going to offer a disclaimer around anger. When I'm talking about anger, I'm not talking about aggression. When I'm talking about anger, I'm talking about hostility. Both aggression and hostility are things that we do with anger. They are not the true nature of anger. They are dark cloaks that we put around anger. These are things that we do with anger when we close the heart and we take away our capacity to care about the person that we are dealing with. That's hostility. That's aggression. But what I mean by anger here, it is this sense of inner revolt that is telling you that the circumstance, that something that happened is not in full honor of your integrity, moral standards, or self-respect. There is often that inner response of inner revolt that emerges in response to maybe even an injustice. And that is the feeling. And that specific feeling, at the very core of that feeling, in a very heart centered way, that feeling is actually potent and needed for tremendous transformation. So I'm going to wrap it here. That was my way to transmit what I really mean by that core anger. It is that fire that fuels inner transformation instead of being a fire that goes out there and attacks and burns and damages, relationships and connection with others. That being said, where am I going with this? Whenever we feel stuck, there is usually a perception that we are dealing with a certain degree of adversity that feels overwhelming or overpowering. And sometimes we may feel like we might not necessarily know how to move through this. We might not necessarily know how to navigate and to transcend it. But every single time we feel stuck, there is a sense of, I am navigating some degree of adversity. And anger is actually that kind of inner fire that allows us to, at the very least, challenge adversity. It is the emotional stamina we need to face situations that are actually difficult. Because it is going to take a little bit of a fight, a little bit of some inner resolve to actually go out there and to make things shift in a direction that feels more life-giving to you. And if you don't have the capacity to do that, if you don't have the capacity to access your own anger, that is usually the shift that will cause you to relate to a specific circumstance and completely feel victimized by the circumstance, or to be able to look at the specific circumstance. And even if you may not have the answer at that moment, even if you may not know the way, it is that inner fire that allows you to say, hey, I can move through this. I don't know how, I don't know what it looks like, but I refuse. I refuse to allow this circumstance to get me to dive into self-pity or, feeling completely that I am resourceless. It is that inner fire that gets you to stand up one more time and to open up to possibilities to actually move through this. So the first question that I would love to ask you right now would be, what is your relationship with your own anger? How were you modeled dealing with anger? Is it something that you even allow yourself to come close to? It's something you allow yourself to feel. When you feel like an injustice just happened, or somebody treated you poorly, or a boundary was just crossed, what is the inner response? How do you show up? Are you allowing yourself to rise to the occasion? Are you harnessing that inner fire to do what is actually, to do what is right, whatever that may mean to you in that moment? Or are you passive? Another question is, are you going completely on the other end, the polar opposite, which is aggression, hostility? Are you a trigger bomb? Whenever somebody says something that is, that rubs you a little bit the wrong way, are you immediately fighting? So you get to really ask yourself, what is my relationship with my own anger? And if you're able to really relate to your anger from your heart, which is something that allows you to uphold your own standard of self love. And as a transition there, to uphold your own standard of self love and self esteem, and looking at a situation that really feels that, hey, I don't know how to move out of this right now in this specific moment. And I refuse, I am not available to see myself as completely powerless in relationship to this circumstance. It may feel painful, yes. It may be confused, yes. It may be even lost. It may be overwhelmed, yes. And at the same time, I re- I release the need to see myself as powerless when it comes to this specific situation. It is a change in inner perspective. It is a shift in the way you are relating to what you're working towards. It is a David against Goliath kind of energy. And I truly think that this is a great analogy when it comes to working with things that feels tremendously overwhelming. It allows you to harness a certain type of like spiritual stamina that even feels otherworldly. Because the truth is, within you, there are the resources actually transcend whatever situation you may be navigating right now. These resources are right there. And I'm not speaking from a place of like, I want to say spiritual superiority, which is something that I would never even attempt or dare to position myself, at that place. I would never dare to do that. This is a lived experience based off of situations where I find myself having completely no place to live, completely being in places where I have no resources, at the very least, financial resources, out of a job, not knowing what to do. And at the same time, the more you are able to tune into this inner fire, it gives you the capacity to say, that must not be it. That is not it. This is not all that I came here for. Feeling stuck, feeling, lost, even though it's important to allow yourself to remain present in your body and to move through these challenging emotions when they are unfolding, but there is that sense of almost inner outrage that is so necessary. It allows you to uphold your new standards of self love and self esteem. It allows you to look at the circumstances, even though you may not have all the answers. And I'm going to say that one more time because it's so potent and so important. Even though you don't have all the answers, you're able to look at it and you're able to declare and to tune into it and to even ask out loud, I am ready to see all the ways. I'm ready to see all the ways that will take me out of this challenging circumstance. And again, even, usually when you are opening yourself up to seeing all the ways you could take yourself out of a challenging situation, very often what happens is we are not actually stuck. Deep down, what we know we need to do to move out of the circumstance scares us tremendously. I'm actually want to, not to really believe in feeling stuck. I am one to believe in, for now, that every single time we declare that we feel stuck, it's because, to a certain degree, what we know we need to do to take ourselves out of the situation that we are in. It is scary, it is challenging, we don't want to do it. So it takes a certain degree of inner revolt, inner outrage, actually, to go towards that and to be like, hey, I'm going to climb this hill. And I have within myself what it takes to climb this hill. Because even your anger is something that is so potent to tap into if you are to transcend your own fears, if you are to turn towards them, if you are to move through what you need to move through in order to get to a place where you feel unstuck. That anger is that inner fire that will allow you to turn towards the places within yourself that scare the shit out of you. It is that inner fire that will cause you to look at the shadow elements that scare the hell out of you. And the more you are able to do that, the more you build even more self-trust, self-esteem, self-confidence, the more you are able to hold new standards of self-love, and the less you tolerate your self-imposed limitations. So I'm inviting you to really examine what is your relationship with your own anger. And the more you are able to do that, the more you begin to rebuild a new standard, a new healthy way of relating to your own anger, the more it liberates you. And if you're interested in doing that, I actually have a masterclass that I did about awakening heart-centered anger. And that inner power, it is something that will allow you to move through so many of the fears that are causing you to feel stuck. I'm going to leave the link below for you to explore that, but I would love to thank you for being here. Please share your comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm inviting you to do so. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon.